800XA Feature Pack 4 includes support for native Ethernet IP devices to be connected to the CI-873 communication board. The CI-873 can be configured to be redundant, and this interface supports tag reading and writing, which allows 800XA AC800M controllers to communicate peer-to-peer to Allen Bradley Rockwell PLCs, as well as various other devices that communicate via Ethernet IP. Ethernet IP devices are created in Control Builder M hardware libraries. Hardware libraries allow project teams to reuse hardware object types from one project to another. So in this example, we only create the Rockwell I/O module once, store it in the Ethernet IP hardware library, and this library can then be reused in all future projects. An Ethernet IP device is defined by an EDS file, and the Control Builder Device Import Wizard now supports these file types in addition to Profibus and Profinet definition files. The Device Import Wizard guides the user through a number of steps to translate the EDS file to a hardware type to be used in the AC800M control project. In the first step, basic device information is displayed. In this example, a Rockwell IB16IO module is used. The File and Device Information dialog allows the user to customize name, descriptions, and icons of the hardware type. The Parameter Settings dialog allows the user to customize communication settings. In this example, the default values defined by the vendor's EDS file is used. The I/O Settings dialog is used to customize the data mapping from the device to the AC800M control application. In this step, it is important to review the device vendor data map and create the hardware type connection list accordingly. The red check marks indicate that the EDS file doesn't contain default data mapping, and manual data mapping is therefore required. In this example, a 32-bit to 32 Boolean map is configured. After the final steps in the Device Import Wizard, a new Ethernet IP hardware type is now available in the Ethernet IP hardware library. This hardware library can then be shared among all your 800XA projects. The new Rockwell IB16IO module can now be configured in the AC800M hardware structure. First, insert a CI-873 Ethernet IP communication board. It is possible to configure the CI-873 as a redundant unit. A new Ethernet IP hardware library contains the hardware type for the Rockwell I/O module. This new hardware can now be inserted under the Ethernet IP CI-873 module and used in the AC800M Control Builder project. The Connection tab contains the connections defined by the data mapping done in the I/O settings. The Settings tab contains the general device settings like the IP address. Introduced in 5.1 Feature Pack 4, 800XA can now connect to devices using the Ethernet IP communication protocol. In addition, Ethernet IP allows for peer-to-peer communications between AC800M controllers and Rockwell PLCs. This is Roy Tanner. Thanks for watching.